Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming soon, I will be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom room link, or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 134. My company is celebrating its 22nd birthday this month. So thank you for being with me on this journey. And as you listen to this episode this week, make sure to subscribe to my podcast to keep the content coming your way. And if you really want to be an overachiever, next level, share this episode and podcast with just one friend. Or more, but at least one friend. Thanks. So I am going to start my content with the ending. I'm going to start with the ending highlights. Here is what I will cover today. Tasks and projects or not. Time is weird. Summer is here. Mostly, right? Let's intentionally enjoy the relaxed schedule of summer. Let's understand the difference between a task and a project. Also intentionally, let's choose or not to make progress on projects, even within the summer schedule. And finally, consider gamifying the process if you'd like, because that is a strategy that helps some of us to stay motivated. So that's what we're going to cover in the next few minutes. We traveled over the weekend, again, to Michigan for a family function. I grew up in Michigan, though I've lived in Illinois now for 32 years. My parents are in Michigan. Both of my siblings and their families live in Michigan. My cousins from Ohio and Tennessee have come up to visit during this past month for the different events. Thankfully, even though my husband's family does not live in Michigan full time, they do vacation and spend time there. So we have been able to see most of our immediate families at least sometime in the last month, except for my middle son, who is in Alaska for 4 months on a gig this summer. But that is another story for another article and episode. We are blessed, my friends. We are blessed to have family that we want to spend time with and who still want to spend time with us. We are blessed to have graduations and birthdays and life milestones to celebrate. Truly, we are so fortunate. And we're also a little tired. I can admit to being tired after these many weekends out of town, and also still be supremely grateful for all the goodness in my life. It sort of felt like summer started for me back in May when my college student came home for the summer, but that wasn't really the start of summer. And we've been celebrating graduations and birthdays and Mother's Day and now Father's Day and all the good things. Yesterday, we attended the last graduation party that we had on the calendar. And we're also not traveling next weekend. So now, finally now, I feel like summer is beginning. I know, time is weird. The start of summer is arbitrary. I was talking to a friend of mine in Massachusetts, and their summer vacation for their school kids don't start for another 2 weeks. Was my start of summer back in May? Was it Memorial Day weekend? Was it when the local school kids finished their school year for the summer, which was last week? Is it the first stretch of really warm and sunny weather? I know, again, it's arbitrary, but I am saying out loud to myself today that I think it's here. And what does that mean, right? For me, and I invite you to consider these ideas too, it means that this time of year, since we're transitioning to summer, like any time of transition, is a great opportunity to review our routines, our goals and projects and tasks, both personally and professionally. When my kids were little, we had an adventure plan for summer. We would sit down and we would list 10 things we wanted to do over the summer, like go to the aquarium or Lincoln Park and Brookfield zoos. We would want to go downtown on the train for lunch with my husband, or stop by Plush Horse and Payless for ice cream. Or maybe it was insert name for the summer blockbuster movie here, right? So maybe that was on the list. And I would have my own summer projects with the kids too, like reviewing their school papers for the year and purging almost all of them, and getting their clothes and their closets ready for back to school. And I would try to spread those projects over the occasional rainy days and then go do something after. We would make the plan and then leave it posted on the fridge to ensure a balance of getting things done for me, going to camp and activities and things for the kids, and also adventures and family fun. So I recently worked with a coaching client on her summer plan. We considered her goals for the entire family. Things like more activity, like riding bikes and walking to friends' houses. More family activities, like going to the community pool together in the evenings. And one outing a week, like the zoo or the park. And then also her own professional goals, like setting activities up for her school-age kids so that she can still get some client work done during the day. My husband and I spent time in April plotting the big projects and milestones for our summer. That was including all of the graduations and parties that I started talking about at the beginning of this article. Also an upcoming adventure to see the Alaska sun. We needed some medical follow-up for some chronic issues. We have some days blocked in late July and early August to get one son back to college and help another son get ready for grad school. We also have on the calendar a now annual trip to Massachusetts in August for a concert weekend. And I have a house project that will probably now wait until both sons and their stuff are back at school so that there's less stuff in the house for me to move around. So we did all of that, the big picture things, and now it's time for me to get specific. Now, I love summer and the feeling of expansion in my calendar. I have fewer evening meetings and responsibilities in the summer. I can look forward to more fun with friends and family. I really like the quiet mornings and evenings on my deck. I feel really proud of all that I've accomplished in the last few months, and I also look forward to a less hectic pace for a bit. But I also always go back to that desire for balance that I mentioned from our summers long ago. Productivity and purpose balanced with adventures and fun. So what I am thinking about this week, and I am inviting you to do the same, is how to plan what we want to accomplish professionally this summer. Even in summer, I always feel better with a plan. I still want to plan. I still want to make progress on projects and goals, even in the midst of relaxing and having fun. So I want to get intentional, and I want to set the plan so that I can get started on tackling the tasks. I was talking to a loved one over the weekend, and they are excited about starting a new job. They gave their current employer a full month notice, and as a responsible director-level team member, they sat down with their CEO and crafted together a list of tasks they needed to complete by the end of the 30 days. They ended up with about 50. And after I chatted with this loved one, applauded them on the new job, and marveled at the productivity shown in finishing that last month really strong, my brain could not let go of the idea of 50 tasks in 30 days. That is so specific and so action-oriented, and in this case, so motivating because there is an obvious deadline. And since I have been thinking about what I want to accomplish this summer, when this idea came to me, my next thought after the 50 tasks in 30 days conversation for myself was, how do I craft that list for me? Now, I do not need 50 tasks. No, I do not. I will see how many I come up with, right? And I think I will look at more than 30 days. And as I started writing this content, I had the Phineas and Ferb theme going through my head, right? 104 days of summer vacation. But today and this week, I am challenging myself, and you, if you'd like to get really specific. And I need to break down projects into tasks and still make progress this summer, even while protecting and respecting the slower pace. The peaceful mornings, the relaxing evenings, the adventures. So a quick vocab lesson here. I think I've talked about the recent productivity coaching class that I took. Per Casey Moore, in her book, The Productivity Chain, who was the instructor for my recent productivity class that I just completed. But she says a task is a one-step action or activity, and that it's usually one small piece of a project or role, responsibility or function, and it can also stand alone. A project, on the other hand, is any desired result that requires more than one action step to achieve. And that is Casey quoting David Allen's Getting Things Done. And those projects move us towards our goals. But we need to break down the big stuff into small tasks so we can actually take action. So ahead of the action, we determine our goals. We determine the projects we need to complete and achieve the goals, and then we identify the tasks that make up the projects. As I worked through the coursework for the productivity coaching class, for myself and also to learn how to be a better coach with this model, I realized for me that I need to get better at distinguishing between tasks and projects. I regularly take on far more than I can feasibly accomplish in a day when I put a single line item on my to-do list that's actually a project. For example, I might have on my list, publish this week's content instead of the actual tasks that go into that, like write the article, edit the article, record it as a podcast, publish the article, write this week's newsletter, send this week's newsletter, etc. We can see the difference between tasks and projects. Another real-world example from my to-do list is, and yep, this is a line item, set up weekly schedule for my membership circle that I keep talking about. Yes, that is an admirable idea, but it is a project with many moving parts, which is most likely why it hasn't happened yet. So what I need to do is break down that really big project into those specific tasks. So tasks attached to that bigger project are, for example, list my different product offerings, determine frequency of the product offerings, meaning am I going to do them every day or every week? I also need to attach topics to the product offerings. For example, I want to have weekly goal setting sessions. Another task on there is to choose and add an additional Finish Line Friday type accountability group, but on a different day. So I really need to ask people what they want. That's a task. And determine in my schedule what day that might be. That's another task. I also need to start a document and start stockpiling examples of, positivity and productivity posts so that I can be at least a week or two ahead on my content. So when I started to really break down that bigger project into tasks just this morning, those different tasks came to me and I realized that it will be much easier to take care of those smaller tasks and I won't feel overwhelmed. And here's the deal. I don't know yet what the other tasks will be. I don't know if there will be 50. I don't know if there will be more or less. But I do know that gamifying, which is what I did just now, gamifying the planning process can be a motivator. And I'm excited at the prospect of identifying the projects I want to complete in the next few months and breaking those larger projects into little tiny actionable steps. At one point in my class notes, I asked myself how much overwhelm I could avoid if all the tasks on my to-do list were ridiculously simple, like send an email to so-and-so, right? And ridiculously simple and also took 20 minutes or less to complete. I mean, imagine what I could get done if I actually just needed to cross those single tasks off the list. Oh, I love this idea. For me, yes, getting to those broken down tasks and actions takes more time in the planning stages, but implementation success would be almost guaranteed. And that sounds pretty great to me. So recapping today's highlights, time is weird. Summer is here, mostly. Intentionally enjoy the relaxed schedule of summer. Understand the difference between a task and a project. Gamify or make the process into a game, right? Gamify the process if you'd like breaking down into 50 tasks over the next 30 days, because that's a strategy that helps some of us stay motivated. And finally, intentionally choose or not to make progress on projects even within the summer schedule. Support around living your best life and getting the right things done is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Summer's a great time. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next week.